And this is nothing new. This happens today. We call it the Freedom from Religion Foundation. In America, their headquarters is in Wisconsin someplace, but they make it their business to seek out really standout testimonies of Christianity. If people are praying at a city council meeting, if there's a cross up someplace on a public street where people can see it, they're seeking this thing out. I think there was a revival at Auburn University this past week or so forth. A lot of people getting baptized. A lot of people got saved and baptized. In the entire football team, pretty much. They're sending letters to them, threatening lawsuits. That's got to stop. You can't have that. Yeah.
There's been 84 churches burned this year.
There's organized resistance. Now, I'm not saying the people against Jesus get in a room together and decide, you're going to fight Jesus this way, you're going to fight Jesus this way. But I do say and believe that, and I can see from Scripture, that Satan gets in a room with him and his demons and says, you go influence this group, you go influence those folks, you go influence those folks. And this is what was happening with Paul. Folks were following him from place to place, and then, as Paul said in the previous chapter, Jews from Asia, which we call Turkey today, had followed him to Jerusalem and saw him in the temple, and they grabbed him and were going to beat him up and kill him there, but they had to take him outside the temple, and by the time they got him outside the temple area, the Roman soldiers came down to stop the riot. Right? And that's what had happened. And they told Festus that if the Roman soldiers had just let us alone, we would have took care of this a while back. Well, yeah, you would have killed him. That was their idea of taking care. That's what they want done with him. So now the new governor, Festus, has heard Paul, but he doesn't understand all the ins and outs of Jewish religion. He believes it's a religious issue and not really a Roman law issue, because it doesn't seem like he's broken any Roman laws. And so he's got King Herod Agrippa there to give him advice and hear this case and tell me what you think it is. Because we ended chapter 25 with, he was asking Agrippa, what do I write? I just can't send this guy to Caesar without some kind of instructions and saying a summary or something of this is what happened and this is why we have a case and this is why he's coming to you. I don't know what his charges should be. And so that's why he's having Herod Agrippa listen to this. And so we start again in verse 1. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, thou art permitted to speak for thyself. Well, how nice of him. Yeah. You're now able to speak for yourself. Go ahead. Then Paul stretched forth the hand and answered him. So he's doing this. Okay. I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee, touching the things whereof I'm accused to the Jews. He's happy because you understand the Jewish law, the Jewish culture. You understand the law of Moses. You and your family, and you've lived in this area for a couple of generations. You understand the things going on here. You're not a complete stranger to it like Festus is. He says, verse 3, especially because I know thee to be an expert in all customs and questions which are among the Jews, wherefore I beseech thee to hear me patiently. He says, okay, now, I know you understand these things, so if you'll just be patient with me for a minute, I'll explain what's going on here. And he goes in. He begins his testimony. Verse 4. My manner of life from my youth was at the first among mine own nation at Jerusalem, know all the Jews. He's saying, he's starting to give his personal testimony. He's going all the way back to when he was a young man, living and schooling in Jerusalem. Verse 5, which knew me from the beginning, if they would testify that after the most straight sect of our religion I lived a Pharisee. He said if the Jews that had made the accusations were here and would testify, they'd say, yeah, they knew me, and I lived my life as a Jew, as a Pharisee. In fact, in Philippians, Paul writes about his testimony as a Pharisee. If anybody could have been saved by the law, Paul is saying he would have been saved by the law. In Philippians 3, starting in verse 4, Philippians 3, starting in verse 4, he said, though I might have also confidence in the flesh, if any other man thinketh that he hath whereof he must trust in the flesh, I more. Circumcised. I was doing all the things I'm supposed to do and staying away from all the things I wasn't supposed to do. And I was zealous for the Lord. I was arresting Christians and bringing them back here for trial to have them killed. Paul is giving his resume And he is building that up to show the change in his life that Jesus Christ made. That's where he's going with this thing. So he said in verse 5, in Acts 26,